Greetings and salutations, this is Brian from Mechbladestudios. Eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed on my paltry knickknack shelves there's one character that doesn't quite seem to fit with the others. Most of these characters have Japanese origins, but Tahu here is of Danish origin. The unspoken rule around here is that I look at things I happen to enjoy. It just so happens that a large majority of what I like originates in Japan. Therefore, reviewing things from one of my favorite franchises growing up, Bionicle is not out of the question. Bionicle was a toy line created by LEGO, which originally ran from 2001 to 2010 and had a short-lived reboot that ran from 2015 to 2016. It followed 6 heroes called the Toa who fought the forces of the evil Makuta. Generation 1 started with that and got very complex and complicated as it went on, and Generation 2 stuck with that and little else. Understatement of the millennium. As much as I'm dunking on G2, that's not what we're covering today. No, today's subject is a travesty from G1, Bionicle The Game, released in 2003 for the GameCube, PS2, original Xbox, PC, and Mac, developed by Argonaut Games and published by... See, this is the part where most people would go, oh, I remember having so many fond memories of this game. No. Back then, I knew this was bad. This is back when licensed games were not exactly guaranteed to be crap, but probably not great either, and before EA really got its reputation for being a shady company. So without further ado, let's get into it. Bionicle The Game is a third-person adventure game. You play as the Toa Mata, later the Toa Nuva, and you have to kill everything, cleanse and teleport everything in your way and get to the end of the level. This is at once easier said than done, and fairly easy. You shoot elemental energy at the enemy until you win. You refill your energy by parrying an enemy attack with your shield, holding B and drawing it in from your environment, or grabbing a mask of elemental energy, which is apparently canon. Unfortunately, every Toa you control shoots the same generic elemental energy instead of fire, ice, water, stone, earth, or air. Light sorta looks right though. That could have made for some more interesting gameplay. Take Tahu for instance. Maybe you can inflict burn damage on enemies, melt away rocks or burn away vines or webs. Hell, even Bionicle Heroes made the elements feel different, as weapon types, but still. That's not to say all the Toa play exactly the same, at least for the normal levels. Tahu's the baseline, having no unique traits outside of his amazing voice acting.
Akrana. Oh, what's it doing to my mind?
Gali can swim around in the water, but the only way to actually go deeper is to dive from a high place, and you don't even stay at that depth for very long, making collecting lightstones a pain. Onua can push around these big rocks to activate switches. I should probably clarify and say he can try to push around rocks. Instead of holding a button to grab and drag the rock around, you have to push yourself against it using the control stick, which is not as easy as it sounds because the rocks are round and you always slip off the side of the rock. This wouldn't be such a big problem if that wasn't the core mechanic needed for the damn boss fight. You have to push these rocks into these launchers to hit Lirak, but not only are these launchers open on a very short timer, but you move these rocks incredibly slowly while dodging poison strikes. The level that's the closest to being fun is Liwa's. It starts with a couple of rail segments, but then you can glide around for a bit after you double jump. The level's still difficult to navigate, but it's easier to manage than Gali's, even if the boss fight makes no sense. I just sort of shot in Panrak's general direction until I won. Meanwhile, some Toa's levels are only on rail sections. For some reason, you can go into first-person mode in Kopaka's level to make everything harder to see and control. Pohatu lets you walk around for a little bit before his level turns into a minecart stage. Tahu Nuva's is the worst. You race Kurak. At least Kopaka's level had you defeat a bohrok before reaching Kokoro, not that one or that one, and Pohatu's level was an overcomplicated way to open a lock. Here, all you do is race, and this is easily the most infuriating part of the game. The game always loads you in like you're about to do a normal level before you actually activate your lava board to start the chase, facing away from where you have to go, meaning you'll more likely than not immediately lose track of where Kurak is. There's also these stalactites that you always run into and take damage unless you let Kurak overtake you and break them for you. You can sometimes target them and shoot them, but not only does this not always happen, but you'll never lock onto a specific one in time. Even if you're doing well, the last part of the level throws an annoying amount of impossible to navigate rocks in your way, often getting you completely stuck, which sometimes causes you to respawn or just kills you. The worst part is that Kurak has Mario Kart style rubber banding AI. He'll just randomly pop up from behind you, even if you're obviously far ahead of him. Either way, you lose and Kurak makes everyone angry, I guess. Apparently it's possible to beat this level because I beat it 15 years ago and I used that save file to get to the final level. By comparison, the final battle with MacLeod is a breeze. Fight some Rahi, disable his shield, then parry his Shadow Blast. You can even glide like Liwa because you're falling. That's an admittedly neat touch. Your worst enemy, more so than any Rahi or boss, is your controls. Your camera only works horizontally and is permanently inverted. There's no way to change it. It doesn't even stay in the spot you move it most of the time, and the lock-on button only sometimes lets you recenter it. I can't even think of the number of times I died because of the camera. The designs aren't terrible, they look like an alternate take on the movie versions of the characters, but the graphics ruin them. Every character or creature just looks like a blob that vaguely resembles what they're supposed to look like. Onua here apparently has no mouth or throat. You can see right through it. The cutscene graphics aren't even consistent. Everyone looks ugly as crap in the opening cutscene, but the Takanuva and Makuta cutscenes look fine for the most part.
Toa have come to banish your darkness forever and return Mata Nui from his fitful slumber.
You defeat me? All by yourself?
The environments are lazy and muddy to the point where it occasionally gets hard to tell where to go. The story tries to follow the canon plot, but fails miserably. It's supposed to cover the first 3 years, but because this game was rushed out the door to meet deadlines, it butchers everything. It starts with infected Rahi attacking alongside the bohrok. The former ceased to be a problem after the Toa Mata's battle with Bakuda, where the Toa don't even have their gold mask. After just 2 levels of playing as the Toa Mata, they get upgraded into the Toa Nuva, seemingly out of just collecting Krana instead of fighting the Bohrok Queens first. The bohrok-kal show up, because Gali fights them all alone, never losing her elemental powers in the process. The only villains portrayed somewhat properly are the Rakshi and Makuta himself, although 3 Rakshi are missing and Panrak drops a friggin' Krana instead of a Krata. I'll also concede that despite the fight with Makuta being easy, it's at least better than the movies.
Simple game of Koli.
The ending makes even less sense than the movie, with Takua Nuva being formed by Takua Nuva just sticking his mask on Makuta's face and opening a wooden door. The only extra content in the game is a database that shows off the fugly character models that clearly show the other Toa Mata were supposed to be playable, and a few unlockables you can get by collecting enough light stones in each level. I don't have the patience with this game to bother to unlock everything, but it's nothing that can't be looked up online. A special note goes to the hard-to-see concept art that takes forever to scroll to the next picture. So is there any redeeming value to this game? Well, the soundtrack's pretty cool. It's hard to tell in the game itself with how compressed it sounds, but a lot of the songs are actually pretty good. I like the menu screen theme and Liwahi's theme the most. Fun fact, a few of these songs made their way to the Voyanui online game 3 years later. Overall, I give this game a 3 out of 10. It's a boring slog with ugly graphics, frustrating controls, and a slapdash bastardization of a great story. I don't know who's more to blame for this, EA or Argonaut, but it's abundantly clear that this is a rush job. It couldn't be delayed because 2004's story was a prequel and had none of these characters in these forms, but beyond cut content, there was clearly no love or care put into what did make it in. It only gets a 3 because the game does function and the soundtrack is pretty neat. Even if you're a massive Bionicle fan, don't track this game down. It's not worth your time and money. Try downloading the beta for the canceled Legend of Mata Nui game instead. So that's it for me for now. What do you guys think? Have you played this train wreck? How many sets did you collect? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, leave a like and subscribe for more reviews of anime, video games, and movies. Also, hit that bell icon so you know exactly when a new video goes up. Thanks for watching. This is Brian from Mechbladestudios, signing off.